All right, with us right now is Socrates Rosenfield. Socrates, you are the co-founder and CEO of iHeartJane.com. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Josh. Really a pleasure.
Okay, well, Socrates, so for those who do not know, explain what iHeartJane is.
So really, iHeartJane, for the consumer, makes shopping for cannabis as simple and as straightforward as pretty much shopping online for anything else in this world. You can log on, share your location, and then conduct a search as broad or as specific as you want. If it's a specific exact product that you're looking for, we can locate that for you at a nearby dispensary. Or if it's something broad like sleep or gluten-free, we can also locate and tag those products. And what it allows you to do is compare by price, read reviews from actual consumers, and then place an order, hopefully with as much confidence as you would buying a plane ticket or any other item online like Amazon.
So the first thing that I noticed when I go to the website is this isn't some cheesy, what you might think of a dispensary website. This is a great e-commerce experience. It's pretty much like I'm at Amazon is what I'm experiencing. And one thing that I think you'll see very clearly is when you search for, like, say, nearby locations, I'm blown away by the number of reviews that you have on here. So clearly you're doing some pretty decent volume, but I'm a little uncertain as to exactly how this model works. So when you partner with the dispensary, are you somehow keeping tabs with what their inventory is?
It's a great question. The problem that has plagued this industry for quite some time when we were studying it was the fact that, you have a single retail store, and on average here in the US, a retail store will carry about 500 SKUs on their store shelf. Oh. And on top of that, 15% of those SKUs will change over day to day. So there's a significantly higher volume and turnover of inventory at these dispensaries. Yeah. And so as a consumer, before we launched, you would go onto a dispensary's website or perhaps other marketplaces, find the product that you want, only to realize that after placing the order, driving to the dispensary, waiting in line and getting there, that product actually is no longer there. And so we have some very sophisticated software. We have some wonderfully bright engineers out of MIT who are systems integration specialists. And actually, we have invented a way for us to automate e-commerce for these dispensaries by plugging directly into their inventory management system. And so what that means is, for the dispensary and the retailer, every single product that's sitting on their store shelf or in their delivery depot is now being automatically and in real time being represented on their e-commerce platform. And now for consumers, they can shop with confidence to know that every single product that they're looking for and ordering will be delivered to them or is waiting for them at that specific dispensary in their neighborhood.
So how do you integrate? I mean, I guess I don't know how many inventory systems there are out there, but how do you do that part of it?
Yeah, it's a complex problem, and something that we take full advantage of because it's plagued this industry really since the onset of the legal market. Mm-hmm. There are over 50 point of sale systems, to our knowledge, in the U.S. industry alone, and what that means, and we integrate with all of them, and we've proven that. But essentially, the problem is, too, Josh, is it's one thing to just technically integrate, right, from software, meaning, can my software speak to your software? Can Jane speak to that point of sale system? But that's one to do it. The other piece is, for instance, you could have a single product that's being sold at two separate dispensaries, and that exact same product could be represented very differently in the back-end systems. They could be abbreviated, they could be misspelled, so on and so forth. Yeah. We have some very sophisticated matching algorithms that will take these disparate ways these SKUs are named, standardize that, and so that now that this is actually that strain or that cartridge, that specific SKU. That's really the nuts and bolts of it, and that's something that we do very, very well.
Wow. All right. So right now, when did you launch and how did you, first off, I guess we didn't really go into your background. So you're former Army, I'm former Navy, and
Very cool.
and so thank you so much for your service.
Likewise.
And from there, you actually went to MIT, and then you continued on with McKinsey and Company. Yeah. And now you're in the cannabis industry. And again, I think that it's really interesting when I think you look at the perception, that perception is changing. And of course, it's inevitable, is that, the standards are absolutely going to improve. The user experience is absolutely going to improve. So it's kind of, I kind of look at your background and, it's probably unfair, but it seems like you're kind of bringing, maybe a little bit of a different sort of not credibility, but a different sort of background into this space than you might think. That's just some hippie burnout that just opened up a dispensary, which is we have plenty of clients in this space. It's really not the case, but I think it's going to be really interesting to watch the evolution that's already taken place, and I think specifically over the next 5 to 10 years. This is a major economic industry here.
Right, and I think we tend to get very excited about the economics, and it's going to be enormous. It already is, and we know that we're just in the early onset of this legal market, not just here in the U.S., but a global push, which is very, very exciting. I have family in Southeast Asia, and there's conversations in Thailand and Malaysia of things getting legalized, which is, you would never, 10 years ago, never even think of that. But perhaps what I'm most excited about, and kind of tying this back to my own personal background, is that cannabis for me, once I started to develop a real passion for this plant, I realized that it's one of the very few things that can tie different kinds of people and cultures, demographics together. Right? Republicans, Democrats, young, old, military veterans, quote unquote hippies. I tend to maybe straddle both of those worlds now. Athletes. It really permeates and transcends everyone. And that's a really powerful thing. And I don't think many industries, other than perhaps food, like everybody has to eat food and enjoy it. Everybody listens to music and enjoys it. And in my opinion, more and more people are turning to cannabis and finding relief and wellness and well-being in it, no matter where you grew up, what language you speak, whether you served in the military or not. And that's, I'm just one person in a sea of millions who consume cannabis. And, I feel very blessed that I have a little bit of a stage to share my own personal experience, and hopefully that resonates with others, whether they're military veterans or not.
Yeah. So I guess one thing that we encounter quite a bit, especially when we're kind of on the PR side of things or the branding side of things, is that there's definitely, I think, a cultural acceptance that's happening, but there's still a lot of people who, I think, just because of the background of it being perceived as only a recreational outlet for someone that might be considered undesirable in their eyes. Again, I think that's changing, but what else do you think needs to happen for continued acceptance? Again, I think legalization, as that continues to move across the country, I think is going to be a big part of that. Anything else?
Yeah, I think obviously there's the political side to things, and we know it's a matter of not if anymore, it's a matter of when, and I have full faith that our leaders in government will listen to the citizens of this country and realize that this is something that the citizens want, and hopefully can create smart consensus around really good regulation. I think though, at the end of the day, no matter what the regulation is, it's still the people, right? And it's either you've tried cannabis and find wellness and well-being in it, or you haven't. And so I guess my recommendation is, if you've tried cannabis, share your story. Even if it's not something that you choose to continue to consume, but really sharing the truth behind it. This is why I use it. I don't use it to get high. I use it for arthritis. I use it for, my pet. I use it to help me go to sleep. Whatever that is, sharing and humanizing the experience and not letting this Hollywood public perception of quote unquote stoner kind of take over, because that's not true. We are people that consume cannabis for thousands of different reasons. And then I think if you haven't consumed cannabis for yourself, not that, I'm telling you to try it, but speak to those that have. Speak to the military veteran who is on a dozen opiates and now is just consuming cannabis and feels a whole lot better. Speak to the parent who, had a child with seizures and now can find that a tincture can solve most of that, or at least address, the discomfort. Talk to people with terminal illnesses that are finding relief. We need to just stop hiding behind regulation or dogma and start talking to actual people, whether or not, again, cannabis is right for you or not. I think we need to understand why people are consuming this. Why is this growing so much in momentum, in public sentiment? And then I think when we start asking these questions, we'll start uncovering the truth. And I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. So moving forward for I Heart Jane, then, you've built up a pretty big network. About how many dispensaries are connected right now?
We're in close to 900 dispensaries across the country.
That's some pretty good penetration. And so obviously I think as more states light up, and I didn't mean that intentionally. I meant light up as in come online, and now there'll be a new crop of dispensaries available. I guess the idea is, you have such great penetration right now, kind of becoming that one-stop shop to be able to search across all the local dispensaries for somebody. That's quite, that's really helpful.
Yeah, and that's our mission, Josh, is when you go on Grubhub, you have full faith that they have a lot of the restaurants in your area. When you go on Netflix, you trust that Netflix has every documentary you want. And when you go on Amazon, they've done a very good job to convince you that any retail product under the sun is on that website. This is what we're trying to provide at least here in the United States is we have nearly 200,000 distinct SKUs on our marketplace. They treat people differently. They serve people differently. We want to provide that power of choice and selection and variety for the cannabis consumers here in this country. And the only way we can do that is to continue to bring value and partner with these dispensaries across all these legal states.
Yeah. So how many states are you, between medical and recreation, how many states are you in?
We're in active right now, 24 states, and that number is growing every week.
Yep. Yeah, it is. Awesome. Well, Socrates Rosenfeld, thank you so much for joining us again. You're the co-founder and CEO of iHeartJane.com. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much, Josh. This has been great.